Hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the vlog. So in today's episode, we buy a stolen recovered car for my son. And if you've been living under a rock, you probably feel that I have accidentally over the past couple of weeks revealed this new car. Well, actually no, I blatantly was putting clues out there to see how many of you noticed the new car. I've had this car for about 4 weeks now, and it is a Scirocco, a diesel Scirocco for my son. Now, my son has moved home, he's left home, he now lives on the other side of the country and has a new job, etc. Wanted a cheap car for about 2.5 grand. But he wanted a Scirocco, specifically wanted a Scirocco because he loved those cars. And actually, I've always wanted a Scirocco to see what it's like to own one of those cars because I love the shape. And I was a big fan of the original Mark 1 Scirocco when it came out back in the day. So we decided to do something a little bit different this time because ordinarily I would buy a salvage car. But today we thought, well, you know what? There's a couple of stolen recovered cars out there. And with the Scirocco and the year around sort of 2009 to 2012, they're very easy to get new keys for because the process in doing so is you take the dashboard out, you code it, etc., and then you just cut the key. Not something that I could do, but I know a guy who can. So we found this car that you can see on screen now. Nice little car. Won it for about 1,700 quid, which is a good price because these cars for the year and the mileage, and it's not a high mileage car, it's about 90 odd thousand miles, they're normally going for about 4.5 grand when you look online. So the first issue I had with this car was getting the right registration number because unfortunately ASM provided me with the wrong number. But I use Car Vertical, which I've had on the site, and this is not a sponsored link by the way, but I use Car Vertical to run a report on the car, and by putting in the VIN number, it came up with the correct registration for the car. So I was able to get that and apply for the logbook and get the car tax. The next thing was getting the car off the trailer because it's obviously had no key. We couldn't turn the steering wheel, and the steering wheel were at this angle, or the wheels were at that angle. So we struggled a little bit to get it off, but we eventually got it off. And then I got my locksmith guy to come down, and literally it must have taken him the best part of 4 minutes to actually get the key using his little skeleton key. And it's a fascinating device. I'll probably have a picture of it up on screen now, and that's what they use to get the key, or at least to be able to know where the pins are to cut the key. And then he took the dashboard off, and he's got the software in his car to actually code the key. So he was able to get a brand new key, which worked absolutely fine. And that was a car driving within literally 3 hours of it arriving. Perfect. But then we had to get rid of this terrible smell in the car. And I can't describe it. Well, I can. It smelled like something died in the car. And it was in the actual original description of the car. And it was terrible. I must admit, it was really bad. But we managed to get rid of that, and we did that with an ozone machine. I didn't bother recording it because you've seen me use the ozone machine before. But it took about 3 attempts to get rid of the smell. And then just to make sure we clean the car, the actual carpets and the seats. Anyway, enough waffle. Let's get on. Let me show you me getting the car ready, etc. And then at the end of it, we'll talk about where we got to, how much it actually costs to sort this car out, all in, on the road, minus tax and MOT. Okay, so this is our Scirocco that we've bought, and our budget of 2.5 grand to get this car up and running for my son is well underway. Now, we do have a problem with this car. It stinks. I mean, it absolutely is a hooler. And I've tracked the source down. There's a dog bin in the back of this car, and by the fact that there's been flies in here, you can see 2 flies in the middle there, which is something has laid larvae in here, and there's been maggots and all sorts. So we've given it a treatment of ozone with my ozone machine, and that has remarkably made it smell better. But we need to get to the source, and that's, I think, is going to be in these seats, because these seats are all covered in dog hair. Back of the carpets here are also, there's some kind of dirt. I'm not going to stick my nose near there to find out if that's the source, but whatever way, we're going to have to take the base of these seats out. I think the backs are okay, although we will clean the backs, but primarily I want to get these seats out. Front seats are okay. I've given them a bit of a go over, but they still need to be cleaned, I think, with a machine. And I'm going to do the carpets as well, just to make sure we've eliminated all the smells. But other than that, this car's pretty reasonable spec for a car that is 12 years old. The bumper needs to be painted, and I probably might get that done for my son, because that's going to be within budget. And then it needs a good old wash. So the key, we've got a brand new key for it, all nice and cut as you saw earlier. And that's half the battle with these stolen recoveries, that if you can get a key cut for it, you're pretty much there. And the car seems to run okay. We're going to give it a service as well. But first of all, let's get that seat out and give it a good old wash. Right, I've taken the seat out and I started to use my extractor, but that stopped working. So the extractor's working fine, but it's not squirting. So what I've done, I've just literally just thrown the water over it. And actually that's better, because it's not coming out in a very thin jet. We're saturating the seat, and you can see that the stuff's coming off it, it's really dirty. So let's continue doing that and scrubbing it, and then we'll extract it with a machine. Okay, so the car is smelling better now. We've given it 3 treatments of ozone. You can just see the machine in the back there, and it is beginning to smell better. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to change the filter, because the one that's in there is pretty bad. Now the filter is, you can see it hanging down there. I've pulled it out. In fact, let's just, might as well just finish the job off really. Now these Scirocco ones, there you go. So that's the filter, and to be fair, that's not bad at all. That's in pretty good condition, but we're going to take it out because it smelled so bad. And this is the replacement one down here, which is a man filter. This is a carbon one though, rather than a standard. You can see the difference. That's a cheap and cheerful one. This is a carbon proper filter. So we'll stick that back in, and that should do the job. If I can remember how it goes back in. I'm pretty sure it goes in this way. And then once we get this in, what we'll then do, actually let me take a look back at this, and then we'll fit it. So we'll fit that in, and then we're going to do the bomb, and that is the air freshener So basically it's an odor eliminator. Now that we've ozoned the car, we want the car to smell fresh, and this will get into all the vents, etc. At the moment, through the vents, you're smelling the residue of the ozone. Could we left the car open for a couple of hours, and we had the whole system going, so it cleared through the AC as well. But we'll put this in to make it smell a little fresher. I'll show you that process in a second. Right, so we're going to let this little bad boy go off. So what you do is you'll undo the cap, then you basically set this off, leave the car running on recirculate. So you can see we've got recirculation going down there on the AC. Let me just check. Actually, oh, we don't. We do now. So the air is recirculating. And then this will just go through the car for about 15 minutes. And then that'll be it. When we shut the door, let it do its thing, and then hopefully the car should be smelling good. Let's trigger that off now. Ooh. There we go. And now, as you can see, it should be doing its thing. So we'll let that bake for 15 minutes and then we'll come back. Right, so the last thing I want to do is give this engine bay a bit of a clean up, because as you can see, it looks a bit horrible and dirty, and it really, when you have an engine bay that's clean, not only does it obviously look better, but any sort of oil leaks you can sort of see in the first instance and deal with them. It's a good early indicator that you've got something leaking, so we'll give this a bit of a clean up, and hopefully, well, it should look better than what it is now. There you go, that looks a bit better. And this wasn't designed to be a full valet of an engine bay. It was just designed to get rid of the loose dust and to make it look a little bit more presentable and make it easier to spot oil leaks as well. So it looks better, so we're happy with what the results that we have. Right, so the MOT in this car is coming up, so we're just going to give the car a little bit of a pre-MOT. Now I know the brakes are in pretty good condition and the tyres are in excellent condition, so we're just going to check all the sort of joints, etc., to make sure they're okay, and if they're okay, then we're good to go for the MOT. So we'll take the wheel off, take a look at the joints, and then we'll do the other side. Okay, so we're taking the near side wheel off, and what we can see is that the sway bar is got a little bit of weep in there. That is going to be borderline whether it's going to fail the MOT or not, so because it's weeping anyway, we're going to replace it. So that's the near side, and on the off side we've noticed that the headlight mechanism, the headlight level mechanism is broken, so we're going to have to replace that with a new one. So we'll get those replaced. Fortunately, this one is not the expensive one. They can be up to £200, but this one's about £33, so we'll get that replaced, and then we'll see how we get on with the MOT. Right, new strut on, that's sorted. That was a pain to get off. I literally had to cut it off with a mini angle grinder, but we got it off in the end, and the new one's in. So now off to the MOT. I will tell you when it comes back if we pass or not, but at the moment it's pouring with rain, as you can see, and I'm soaked to the bone, but I've got to get this done because this car is going on Sunday and we need to get it MOT before then. Right, we'll be back shortly. Okay, it's the next day. The car is back from its MOT and it has passed. It's got a few advisories, but we're not too worried about that. Today we're going to concentrate on fitting this camera. This is part of the Extron camera system or ICE system, and this camera actually is pretty good. So we're going to fit this up. It's already pre-wired on front. All we have to do is run this cable that you can see down here all the way to the front. We've already pre-wired it going into a hole in there through a grommet down the bottom there, and it's coming through underneath there. So all we have to do is mount this up, which a hole that I've already made there, and we've got a little rubber grommet for that. Connect it up and we should be good, and we'll test it out in a second. Okay, camera is now wired up. Looks really neat actually, quite discreet, because from up here you can't see it. Now we've run all the wiring all underneath here, so it's all nice and neat and back to the origin. And in fact we run it underneath the tile there, so you cannot see it at all. And if you're wondering what this box is, it's for my son insurance box. Yeah, telemetry, horrible things, but needs must. Right, from there we've run it under the trim here, nice and neat, up here through the fuse box, across the panel, and then into the Extron. And that means that when we put the car into reverse, we won't do it now because I ain't got the keys, but when you put the car into reverse, the camera comes up. Now at the moment the camera is upside down. Even though the camera is mounted the right way, it's actually showing upside down. Let me show you what I mean. So we'll just stick the box in, and I'll stick it into reverse, and there it is. So it's but it well, it works. It definitely works, but I just need to figure out how to turn it the other way around, and I'll do that shortly. But other than that, when the actual camera is running, you get the guidelines, or you used to get the guidelines, don't come up anymore. But anyway, the main thing is it works, and that's great. So that's it, job finished. And this car is now complete. So we can hand it over to my son, and he can take it away. We've just replaced the mirrors as well. Here's the original one that we took off, big dirty scratch on it. It was cheaper to buy new mirror caps in the right colour than it was to get this repaired. So there you go. And that is the Scirocco, all nicely sorted out, all MOT'd and good to go. A nice little project that. But of course, you'll let me know what you think in the comments below. And there you have it, car completed. So let's talk numbers. What did it cost me for this? So the car was £17.17 all in after fees, etc. So £1,717. Delivery was £197. Quite expensive actually for the delivery. Yeah, £197 to get the car delivered. But then again, it was coming in from Norfolk. No, Essex was where this car came from. So £197 plus to cut a new key was £180. So we had a total of £2,094. Pretty good. Now looking second hand at these cars for around 97,000 miles, you're looking at about 4.4. So we saved about £2.5 grand, £2 to £2.5 grand, I reckon. Our budget was 2,500. So we are well in under budget for this car, which is fantastic. So the next thing we need is to put some ice in the car. Now you saw me fitting the camera, but I actually fitted an Extron head in this car. I'll show you that next week because yeah, I'll show you next week. Didn't have time to pull it into this edit cut, even though it would have made well, it would have stretched the video a bit longer than what it was, but you'll see that next week and I'll fit that in for you. Now I chose Extron because they do compatible Apple Play and Android car systems, and even if you don't use those, they're pretty good in what they do. But the best thing is that they're fully compatible with the VW Audi range of cars. So all the features like reversing parking sensors, etc., the heating controls, because on the Scirocco the heating controls comes up on the actual ICE unit. It also does the same on the Extron, and it also does all the doors and the whole shebang, and it's a touch screen, so it's a really good replacement for the OEM head unit. But I'll show you the details of that and the installation of that next week, because it also comes with CAN bus. Good. That's it. So nice little project. So next week, like I said, we'll show the Extron, but we'll be back on the TT. Yes, we'll be back on the TT, and I'll show you some of the bits and pieces that we got. We've got everything that we need now, so we can put that car back together. That's probably going to end up being our winter project. No, it won't be. Nah, it's going to be finished way before then, but I'm itching to get that car driving because we've had it for quite a long time now, as you can imagine. Okay, so thanks for viewing this video. Don't forget to give us a like and a thumbs up and share this video as well. Yeah, if you do like this video, give it a like and click on the subscribe button if you're a casual viewer, the bell notification button so you're notified whenever we review this video. Like, share and do everything else. We will see you next week. Have a good one.